Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I will compare the Viltrox AF 60mm f1.8 FE with the Sigma 60mm f1.4 DC DNE, and I would explain why I decided in the end to go for the Viltrox and why I will sell the Sigma. You are probably wondering why I'm comparing a full frame lens with the APS-C lens, even though you can see at the first glance that the Sigma is lighter and more compact. The answer is easy. As you may know from my channel, I own several APS-C and full frame cameras, and I also shoot a lot of astro. I took a lot of astro photos with the Sigma lens and I was always happy with it. But since I own the Viltrox, I use the Sigma lens less and less, because I don't want to take two 60mm lenses with almost the same aperture with me on my tours, because I can use also the full frame lens on my APS-C body. First of all, I would like to mention that both lenses are extremely good and you won't make a mistake with either of them if you want to buy one. However, there are some differences and advantages to each of these two lenses that I want to talk about today. First, I want to talk about the specs. Then we will do an image comparison test before we get to the conclusion. Both lenses have the same 60mm focal length, although the Sigma has a wider field of view, but we will come to that in our test. If you use it on the APS-C camera, you will get a 24mm full frame equivalent focal length due to the 1.5 crop, which is a very popular focal length. The Sigma has a max aperture of f1.4 to f16, whereas the Viltrox has an aperture of f1.8 to f22. Both lenses are weather sealed, and unfortunately they have no image stabilization. The size of a lens is a crucial factor to consider when comparing two lenses. Viltrox is the longer of the two lenses at 103mm. The Sigma 92mm is 11mm shorter. Besides being longer, the Viltrox also has a larger diameter of 85mm compared to the Sigma's 72mm diameter. The weight of a lens is equally significant as its external dimensions, especially if you intend to handhold your camera and lens combination for extended periods. The Sigma weighs 405 grams and it's 145 grams lighter than the Viltrox weight of 550 grams. The Viltrox has a filter size of 77mm, whereas the Sigma has a 67mm diameter. Larger filters are generally more expensive than smaller ones, given all two other features are equal. If you look at both lenses, you quickly realize that the Viltrox had a lot of features compared to the Sigma. For example, we have an aperture ring that can be controlled with a click switch. We also have an AF/MF switch and two programmable buttons. The first one is the focus hold button and the second one can be used to switch directly to focus infinity, which can be very helpful for astrophotography in the dark. Another special feature is the display of the Viltrox, which shows all relevant lens information like the distance scale and more. If you look at the Sigma, we only find the focus ring. Another advantage of the Viltrox is the vignette. Wide-angle lenses normally struggle with vignetting at open aperture, but if you use a full frame lens on the APS-C camera, the vignette is automatically cut off by the 1.5 crop. The two lenses also different price. The Sigma currently costs $399, whereas the Viltrox is €200 more expensive at $599. The Sigma was released in 2017 and the Viltrox in 2023. A lot has happened in the last 6 years of lens development. But can you see that also in the quality? Let's find out in our image comparison test. Have fun! Okay, now we are here on our image side-by-side comparison. We have here on the right side the Viltrox lens and on the left side the Sigma lens. I've shot both images at the opened aperture. The Sigma lens on an f1.4 with an ISO of 100 and the Viltrox with an f1.8 and also ISO 100. And what we see on the first look is that the Sigma has a little bit more vignette here and a wider field of view. Look at this stone here and this stone on the Sigma lens, and here the stone, and here on the Viltrox the stone is cut up here. I've compared the Viltrox lens also with the Tamron 17-28 on a focal length on 70mm, and these focal lengths both are equal. I think the Viltrox 60mm is more a 17mm than a 60mm that you have to be aware of. But all in all, both images are very sharp, and if we zoom in the middle, you see the Viltrox lens is sharper than the Sigma lens, even at the open apertures here. And if we go to the left corner, you see also the Sigma lens is softer here and the Viltrox sharper. If we go down. Here the same result, the Viltrox lens is sharper than the Sigma lens. Now I have stopped down the Sigma lens on 1.8. You see it here, both lenses 1.8. And now we have a more comparable result here. And if we zoom in, the sharpness had a little bit improved here on the Sigma lens, but this Viltrox lens is still sharper than the Sigma lens. Even in the corners, as you can see here. Yeah, you see it. The Viltrox lens is sharper at 1.8. And if we stop down to an aperture of 2.2 on both images, you see the vignette has disappeared and we have a much clearer image here. And if we zoom in, you see now the sharpness is more or less equal in the middle. And if we go to the corner, the Viltrox lens is still sharper than the Sigma lens. And if we take a look at an aperture of 5.6 on both images, the Sigma 5.6, Viltrox 5.6, you see the sharpness has improved on both images. And if we zoom in, equal in the middle. And if we go to the corners, you see a huge improvement now on the Sigma lens, but the Viltrox lens is still a slight sharper, but now both images are more or less similar in point of sharpness and contrast. Look at the sharpness now. Very, very good performance in terms of sharpness. But what about portrait and bokeh balls? I know wide-angle lenses normally are not designed to take portraits, but with an open aperture of f1.4 and f1.8, you can achieve very good shallow depth of field. And if we zoom in, here on the left side, the Sigma on an aperture of f1.4 and on Viltrox at the open aperture of f1.8, you see the Viltrox is sharper than the Sigma lens. And if we take a look at the bokeh balls, you see some cat eyes here on the Sigma lens, but also some onion rings on the Viltrox lens. If we go to the right side, the Sigma lens bokeh balls looks a little bit better than the Viltrox bokeh balls. And if we stop down to f1.8 on the Sigma lens, you see now the bokeh balls are also very round. And if we zoom in, sharpness has improved here on the Sigma lens at f1.8, but the Viltrox lens is still sharper. And the bokeh balls looks better now on the Sigma lens. But all in all, a very good performance. Another interesting part is astrophotography. I've used again the aperture of both lenses wide open, the Viltrox lens at f1.8, the Sigma lens at f1.4 with an ISO of 400 and 4 seconds exposure time, and the Viltrox lens an ISO of 800 and also 4 seconds exposure time. And on the first look, you see the Sigma lens is a little bit brighter and warmer here. And if we zoom in, you see the results are very similar. The stars are very round here, and in the corners at the aperture wide open, you see some coma here on the Sigma lens. If we go to the right corner, see again some coma and some stigmatism here on the Viltrox lens. And here you see also on the Sigma lens some purple fringing, but you can correct this afterwards in Lightroom. But a very good performance for both lenses at the aperture wide open. What about if you stop down the Sigma lens on f1.8 with the same exposure time and the ISO like on the Viltrox lens? You see the Sigma lens is again a little bit brighter than the Viltrox lens, and on the first look looks a little bit better. And if we zoom in, you see more details here on the Viltrox lens to the edges. You still see some coma here on the Sigma lens. What about the right edge? The same result, still some coma and still some chromatic aberrations here on the Sigma lens. Now I've stopped down the aperture of f2.2 with an ISO of 1600, and you see the Sigma lens is still brighter than the Viltrox lens. And if we zoom in, you see still chromatic aberrations here on the Sigma lens, but a little bit less than on the aperture of 1.4. But you see the chroma here on the stars has disappeared. And if we go to the left side, still a little amount of chroma, but a huge improvement to f1.4 or f1.8. And now we see also more details here on the Sigma lens. And both images are now equally in terms of sharpness. But the Viltrox lens is a little bit darker than the Sigma lens with the same settings. Welcome back. As you have seen in the side-by-side comparison, both lenses are really good, sharp and suitable for astrophotography. Unfortunately, the Sigma is starting to show its age, but it still performs well. The Viltrox lens is from 2023, and in 6 years a lot has happened in lens development and manufacturing. It is sharper than the Sigma even at open aperture, and on an APS-C body it doesn't struggle with the vignette like other wide-angle lenses. As I mentioned in the beginning, I use APS-C and full-frame camera for photography, and it makes no sense to use two 60mm lenses that have almost the same aperture and performance. I also love all the features the Viltrox lens has, like the aperture ring or the AF/MF switch, even though I like the Sigma lens very much and it was one of my first lenses, but it has to leave now. But what is the best for you? If you currently have an APS-C camera and you are happy with it, you can take the Sigma and save €200. But if you use both systems like me, or you are planning to switch to full frame in the future, the Viltrox lens is a better choice. What do you think about these two lenses? Do you see it different than I do? Feel free to write it in the comments down below. If you are interested in these lenses, you will find also a link in the description. And if you like this test, I would be very happy if you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, please write in the comments down below. I will try to answer everyone. See you next time.